Don't Feed the Cat by VitaeLifeSolutions. Living out of my beat-up Ford hatchback had finally taken its toll on me. The constant neck pain and intrusions from the denizens of rest stops had finally taken my last ounce of patience. My infinite stubbornness had finally given way to a desire for some creature comforts. So I hopped on my phone and looked for local homes for rent. As I browsed through the listings, I thought back on my cheating ex who had laid claim to our mutual apartment. I felt angry and frustrated by the whole thing, and on some level I had internalized all that pain. Part of me didn't feel like I deserved an apartment. I felt like less than dirt, and I could hold on to bad feelings like no one else. After finding a few listings, I started my car and started heading to town. I passed through the day like a ghost, allowing overly perky salespeople to serenade me with the song of their people. I half paid attention to scummy slumlords as the dollar signs flashed behind their eyes, each new abode either not catching my eye or being completely disgusting. The last listing was a small home for rent, nestled near the edge of the town's forest. The little old lady, who seemed nice enough, monotonously showed me around a completely furnished home. Her disaffected tone resonated well with my current mood, as did the house. It seemed to lack the natural light other places did, and the darkness of the abode matched my current perspective on the world. After she showed me around, she ushered me to the kitchen table and pulled out some papers.
"So what do you think?"
she asked in a soft voice. "I think I like it," I replied, dreading the next part. "So what's the wait time to get in?"
"Oh, no wait time at all. Just first and last month's rent, and a signature, and you can move in today. As long as you pay every month, I won't bother you, and you can do as you please."
"So no rules about pets or smoking?" I asked quizzically.
"The only rule I have is, don't feed the cat."
The words rattled in my head. Was there a cat here? Had I missed that? Why weren't my allergies bothering me if there was a cat? "Is there a cat on the premises?" I asked. "I can't really be around cats. I am terribly allergic to them."
"That shouldn't be an issue."
"So it's hypoallergenic?"
"Well, it's hardly ever around, and most tenants haven't complained about it."
she said with a slight smile. "Well, the price is right, and I would really like to sleep in a bed tonight. So I guess I accept your terms," I said, sliding the papers towards myself to sign. "And all the furniture comes with the rental?"
"Absolutely, dear."
I slid the papers back to her and removed my money clip. I counted out $1,000 for the first and last month's rent, then removed another $1,000 to pay up a couple of extra months in advance. She greedily scooped up the money and double-checked my signature.
"This all looks in order. I think this will be a great place for you.
She sniffed the bills I had handed her.
And don't worry about anyone bothering you here. Cops never come around, so no one should impede on your business."
I gave her a sideways look, somewhat shocked by this statement. Did my money really smell that much like weed? I tried to quickly think of an excuse as she began to laugh.
"Don't worry, honey. Your secrets are safe with me. My grandson lives in Michigan, and he has a similar career. The government should honestly fuck off about the stuff."
She placed the keys for the house on the counter and started heading towards the door. Then she turned, giving me a very serious look.
"Remember my one rule, kiddo. Don't feed that fucking cat."
After she drove away, I went to my car and started unloading the few things I had into the living room. I took my bag of clothing and my laptop bag to the bedroom. The room was larger than I expected, with a marvelous king-sized bed. The blackout curtains across the window were a nice touch, too. I tossed my laptop onto the bed and hastily plugged it into an outlet. Once it had powered on, I went back to the living room to fetch my cigarettes, a joint, and an ashtray. I jumped into the bed and embraced my first taste of luxury in weeks. I buried myself in the slightly musty sheets and allowed myself to relax for the first time in weeks. Then I turned to the laptop and was surprised to find a Wi-Fi connection. I guess the place came with that, too. Things were looking up. For the next couple of hours, I mindlessly watched nonsense on YouTube and got high. Eventually, I ordered some food, and after eating a gratuitous amount of Chinese food, I allowed myself to fall into the comfortable blackness of sleep. I awoke sometime later that night with a fierce need to empty my bladder. I quickly rushed to the bathroom, but stopped halfway down the narrow hallway to the door. What was once a white wooden door was now a rusted metal door with a small grate at the top of it. I was taken aback by this. Had I not noticed it properly before? Had I fallen victim to the fabled reefer madness? As I stood there contemplating my environmental awareness and sanity, I heard a muffled mewling of a cat. Without thinking, I went and opened the rusted door and flicked on the light. Sitting atop the peeling paint of the windowsill was a cat. Well, I say cat, but that description isn't quite right. What was staring back at me with two luminous yellow eyes was definitely cat-shaped. It had the general features of a sphinx cat, but its body was missing spaces. One of its ears floated slightly off its head, which also floated a few inches off its neck. Its legs and tail also had several gaps where flesh should be. The gaps in its form, though, didn't bleed. They didn't look like injuries, they just were parts the form didn't have. I stood motionless, heart beating out of my chest as it stared at me. I had never seen anything quite like it. It had an overall appearance of being wrong. Something about it shook me deep inside, like I was gazing into something that shouldn't be. Then it yawned and curled up, finally breaking eye contact with me after what felt like a lifetime. I turned to leave the room, deciding urinating in the kitchen sink was a more favorable option. Then I heard a melodic voice from behind me.
Oh, please don't do that. What a disgusting habit to start. I promise I don't bite.
I turned to see the cat-like shape which had begun glaring at me again. "Did you just talk?" I stammered out.
Yes, I was waiting for you to say something, but I got bored of waiting.
The voice was coming from the cat, but it did not move its lips. "Well, no offense, but you do look like a nightmare," I blurted out.
Why is that?
It said, narrowing its eyes. "You appear to be missing parts." The cat-like creature looked itself over and then made a motion that seemed to be a shrug.
Have you considered that maybe other cats have too many parts?
No, I hadn't considered that because I am not insane.
You're pretty close-minded for a pothead. I know you have to urinate. Please feel free to do your business.
I crept over to the toilet and began to pull down my underwear. Then I noticed the cat was still watching me. Would you please mind looking away?" I asked sheepishly.
You hairless apes are such prudes.
It said with a sigh before turning to the window. I cautiously relieved myself and hastily backed away, not letting the cat thing out of my sight. As I neared the door, it turned back towards me.
Leaving so soon?
It said, cocking its head way too far.
We have just met. Don't you want to know what I am doing here? What I am?
There was something weird about this creature. I was being far too candid with it. I couldn't stop myself from just blurting out the first thing that came to mind in its presence. Maybe that is why the conversation continued. I still question why I didn't just leave. Yeah, I would like to know all those things, but I am just terrified of you.
Not an uncommon reaction. How about a housewarming gift to break the ice, then?
What could a cat possibly give me? I said, laughing. Gonna cough up a hairball in the shape of a heart?
That's speciesist. I could give you anything you want. What is it that you want?
So what, you are like a genie cat, I get wishes? I said, trying to suppress the words I wanted to say.
You could say that. I can see someone hurt you bad. Wouldn't you like them to hurt too? Let me hurt them for you.
At that moment, I felt very small. I felt as though I was a mouse in the cat's gaze, backed against the wall and waiting for it to pounce. I watched as its tail hypnotically darted left and right in anticipation. Every fiber in my being screamed out to stay silent, but my mouth betrayed me. "Yes, I want her to hurt worse than me," I shouted, louder than I meant to. Then in a panic, I wrenched open the door and ran to the bedroom. I closed and locked the door and jumped into the bed. Why did I say that? My stomach churned with guilt at the words I said. I wasn't a vindictive person. I would never wish harm on someone else. At least that is what I thought. Something about everything that just happened didn't sit right with me. I began to feel the sting of tears on my face and eventually fell back into sleep. The next morning I laid there, staring at the ceiling, playing over the last night's events in my mind. Had it been a dream? No, I know it wasn't that. But I couldn't make sense of what had happened. Eventually I cautiously got out of bed and opened the bedroom door. I looked down the hallway to the bathroom, and sure enough, the door was white wood again. I walked over to it and placed my ear against the wood. I stood there for quite a while, listening for any indication of something in the bathroom. I eventually worked up the courage to open the door. There was nothing in there. It was exactly the same as the night before, minus one cat. I did my business and did the daily hygienic maintenance of combing my hair and brushing my teeth. After I had finished, I checked my phone. I had several people asking me for my dealing services, so I jumped in my car and started into town. I went through the routine of visiting several people and collecting money. It was almost a completely normal day. That was until I saw my ex-girlfriend's car wrapped around a telephone pole. I almost crashed my own car in shock as I saw medical technicians rolling a body bag up to the ambulance. Part of me wanted to pull over and check on the situation, but deep in my heart, I knew the outcome. That fucking cat definitely had given me a housewarming gift. Not one I would have ever wanted, though. I raced back home in a huff, ready to throttle that disjointed nightmare of a feline. When I got home, I wrenched open the door and began shouting for the beast. I ran to the bathroom in a cold sweat and pulled open the wooden door, shouting into the white bathroom. I nearly turned the whole house upside down looking for it. Eventually, eyes filled with tears, and out of breath, I collapsed onto the couch. I couldn't find it, and I didn't have the emotional capacity to continue looking. I tucked my knees to my chest and just anxiously rocked for hours until eventually, sleep came. I woke up sometime that night. I needed to use the restroom, and I could feel a heavy gravity in the air. I knew it was there now. I walked to the door, which had again become a rusted metal portal. I wrenched open the door and saw the cat-like entity on top of the windowsill again. "You monster!" I shouted, rushing towards it. The small bathroom rug slipping under my feet and causing me to fall face first into the linoleum. Tears were filling my eyes and my cheeks flushed with anger and embarrassment.
Who? Me? What did I do?
"She's dead. My ex is dead, but why?"
You said you wanted her to hurt. There is no greater pain than the searing pain of one's own lungs filling with blood.
"That's not what I wanted," I screamed.
Oh dear, sadly there are no gift receipts with my offerings. Would you like me to bring her back? I could bring her back. Would that be a desirable gift?
The cat cocked its head.
Bring her back in a way that she only loves you.
My heart sank at this. I couldn't possibly want that. I did want her alive, but I couldn't imagine controlling someone to love me. That seemed so wrong. No, I don't want any of that. I just want you out of this house.
It's my house too, and you haven't been a very good roommate to me. You haven't even fed me yet.
I am not supposed to feed you.
Why? Because that old bitty says so. You're a dealer. Since when do you follow the rules? Now's not a great time to start being a goody two-shoes.
I backed away and opened the door, crawling out of the room as my pulse pounded in my ears. I kicked it shut with my foot and turned to run to my room. I quickly discovered that was not an option. Before me there were 3 rusted metal doors. I looked over my shoulder to see that the bathroom door had been replaced with a solid white wall.
It's not going to be that easy. You accepted my gift, now you must offer me a gift of your own,
said the cat-like creature. It was sat in front of me, and just in front of it was an unmarked tin can and a can opener.
You have to feed me.
I ran past it to one of the doors and tried to pull it open. I wanted nothing more to do with that beast. It wouldn't budge no matter how hard I tried. I ran over to the next one and again found it completely stuck.
That's not going to work. You've been quite rude to me. You are such an ingrate, I feel I must force your hand. Feed me, and I will allow you passage through one of the doors.
I sank against one of the doors and pulled my knees to my chest. I started hyperventilating and crying again. I was trapped with this awful thing. I just wanted to leave, and I couldn't even do that. And if I refuse, I sniffled out. What then?
You'll never leave here, and eventually you will starve. Then I will eat you. In the end, you will have fed me. Either choice is fine by me, but my roommates always feed me.
What's through the doors? I asked, staring at the tin on the floor.
Open the can and I will tell you.
At my absolute wit's end, I crawled forward and opened the can through blurry eyes. The contents smelled terrible, but I pushed it forward towards the cat, and it began eating.
Through one door, you will be transported back to this house, and I will have never met you. Your ex will be alive. She will still be cheating on you, and you will be alone in this house. Through another is the same thing, with the addition of me as your eternal companion. You will continue to feed me, and I will continue to grant you gifts. Through another, you will find nothing.
What do you mean by nothing? I asked.
Exactly what I said. You're miserable, and even with a wish-granting cat, you still find yourself feeling unworthy of your life. Through the nothing door is absolute nothing. You will quickly be torn asunder, body and soul. You will cease to be, and reality will forget you. Part of you wants that door to be the one you go through. I am merely facilitating that part.
I looked back at the 3 metal doors, all of which seemed to have grown bigger. I contemplated the options, and I knew the cat was right. Part of me did want to just disappear. Which door is which? I asked.
That's the fun part. Even I don't know. It's like that experiment with the unobserved cat. You won't know which it is until you open the door.
So now I sit here, staring in horror at the possibility of choosing the wrong door. That cat refuses to give me any hint as to which is which. I know I am going to choose one soon, but I didn't want to do so without first leaving behind some sort of record. I don't know what future awaits me, but I wanted to leave you all with this advice. Don't feed the cat.